Hello everyone and welcome back to another week of Road to TCG Worlds 2016. We are going to be using a Raichu Crobat deck this week because it is the last week before Breakpoint hits the TCGO. So I figured I wanted to cover this deck as it definitely was very competitive during City Championships. It won a couple of them and I think it'll be a nice change of pace when we were using 2 weeks ago the Houndoom deck and things like that. This is a very, very offensive deck. It is a one-hit KO deck, mostly. And yeah, let's hope that we are able to get some wins with this deck. Now, we have, of course, a 4-4 Raichu line, where the main attack is, of course, Circle Circuit, 20 damage times the number of benched Pokemon. So we of course have Skyfield in order to bolster up that damage into very high amounts, and we have both Golbat with Sneaky Bite and Crobat with Surprise Bite in order to make sure Raichu can pull off one-hit KOs or to pick off damaged things on the bench. Now we also have a 2-2 Bronzong line in order to be able to power up Raichu beyond the 4 double colorless energies and to be able to bypass abilities such as Aegislashes and potentially attack Giratina if at some point he's able to get a lock on us. And we also have a 1-1 line of Octillery as support. You could run more Shaman, but Octillery is less of a liability, and late game it ends up working out just a tiny bit better, and the combination of both Shaman EX and Octillery should be pretty good. Now you are seeing the Shaman EX full art because I am pre-recording this, but this Shaman EX has been given out on Sunday. I announced the winner, so be sure to check that out, and be sure to check out on Twitter the next giveaway, which will feature Breakpoint cards. At the time of recording, I don't know what cards they will be, but they will be for sure cards from the new set. Now, in terms of supporters, we have our mandatory for Sycamore, our 2 Lysander to be able to pick whatever we want to attack, 1 Judge in order to disrupt our opponent, 1 AC in order to recover Shaman, potentially reuse Crobat, and that's it for supporters. And for trainers, this is a lot simpler than many other decks because you do run so many Pokemon. You have the 4 mandatory Verse Seekers, 4 mandatory Ultra Balls, 3 level balls because a lot of our Pokemon have 90 HP or less, especially our main attacker, so that's pretty nice. 3 Skyfield in order to be able to power up Raichu by benching more Pokemon. And to bolster up Raichu's damage, we have 2 Muscle Bands, just in case we need that extra oomph to get the KOs. 2 Floatstone to make sure that Bronzong or Octillery are not pulled into the active slot and we are stuck with them over there. And finally, 2 Sacred Ash, not 1 but 2, because between Sycamores and the Stadium Wars you might end up discarding a lot of Pokemon. So Sacred Ash will allow you to recover all of them and keep the damage output for Raichu pretty high. And as far as energy go, we have of course the 4 double colorless energy, and we have 3 metal energy to be able to use Bronzong. Bronzong is not exactly super crucial, but it does add up to the basic count in order to be able to hit for more damage with Raichu, and late game it does provide a very nice option. So let's get to it. Let's find 2 games for the day and see how we do with this deck. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I'm very excited about getting to use the new Breakpoint cards. I have a couple of decks in mind, but if you have any ideas, feel free to leave them down in the comments below. Darkrai EX Hypno is a very nice combination, and it's quite an obvious combo, I guess, but it does look like a very nice deck. And you also have Greninja Break. I really hope there's some way to make Greninja Break playable because I think it has a lot of potential, especially with the Frogadier that allows you to bench 3 more Frogadier. So I'm really looking forward to trying that out. But focusing on the current game, our starting hand is not too good. The level ball top deck is nice, but seems okay. We could get Remoraid and Octillery out next turn, and we are up against a Haxorus deck. I have no idea what Haxorus does, but I could get Remoraid or I could get Pikachu. I think I'm gonna get Pikachu, attach the DC, and I'm gonna judge. We're both gonna be in a bad situation. I will have a little bit of an advantage because I will have played some of my cards. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do. And I guess we're gonna find out together what Haxorus does if it ever comes into play. Now we get a pretty ideal hand, our lovely combination of Sycamore and Seeker, but we do get the Golbat, which will allow us to damage that Axew. My opponent doesn't get too much going after that Judge, so with that Ultra Ball top deck, we are only missing the Raichu in order to be able to win the match right now, because that's 2 damage counters. We need a Raichu and a benched Pokemon, so I'm gonna Ultra Ball away the Sycamore and the Crobat, get myself a Shaman, and after the Shaman, wow, both Shaman are prized. So I'm not gonna get the Shaman, I'm gonna get the Raichu. I'm gonna use the Seeker, play the Sycamore, and as long as we draw 1 basic Pokemon, we will win the game. Now this of course was quite a short game. I mean, I'm assuming I'm going to get 1 basic Pokemon, and if we do, I will probably look for 2 more games rather than just 1 more, because this one obviously doesn't really showcase anything too interesting about the deck. Thank you, Zach, for the reminder to attach my energy, but I'm already going to win, so it's not necessary. And our prize is the Shiny X Full Art. Pretty ironic, because it will be someone else's prize in a couple of days' time as of the moment I am recording this. But by the time you guys are watching this, it will have been given out for sure. So let's find another game. Hopefully it's a bit longer than the previous one. And yeah. What else can I tell you guys? Unfortunately, I wasn't able to add up to my championship points count during the last city championship. I once again ended up in the top 8, but March should be a very crucial month because regionals do happen in Mexico, and there's going to be between March and April, or that's usually how it's been, 6 weeks in a row of regionals. So that means I could potentially max out on regionals points. If I got, for example, the same placing in regional championships as I did in city championships, I would be adding now we get both Shaman. I would be adding a total of 150, 300, 405 points to my total. That would put me at, if I assume a first, a second, and 2 top 8s, that would put me at 565 points, which would still not be enough to secure the top 8 day 2 invite. So I definitely need to do quite a bit better in regional championships than I did in city championships. I am confident I can do that because of how well I did at city championships. I think the format is great for me right now, and I'm we get the Verse Seeker. I do like the format in the sense that it does showcase skill. I mean, if you draw a standard way, like a standard draw and everything, I think you do have a very good shot of winning the game if you are the better player. And I did top cut every single city championship, so that's going to be the aim for regionals. Top cut every single regional championship and win at least 2. That's the goal. Win at least 2 regional championships and make sure the other results are at least a top 8, of course. So yeah, the goals are win 2 regional championships and make sure I will be adding championship points in all four potential regional championships that I can add up to my record, because I really do think I have a good shot at the day to invite. I haven't played in any league challenges yet. For some reason in Mexico there's rarely any. If there's one a month, like, you can consider yourself lucky. So that's a lot of points. That's a potential 90 points that you're at a disadvantage in, if when compared to the other Latin American countries. So I really wish that would change and Pokemon would do something to change that, but it's not looking likely anytime soon. So that's why I'm forced to do really well. And after I get whatever regional championship points I do get, it's still pretty much mandatory to at least top 8 nationals or potentially top 4 to try and get that day to invite. So it's not going to be easy. I have to maintain the very high level I had during city championships, but I am definitely very motivated to do so. I think playing regularly through the channel, even if it's not like the exact deck that I'm going to use, having all the knowledge of the deck of the potential decks that my opponents are using and things like that, doesn't give you a full advantage, but it can help you out. So having said that, we are up against a very interesting deck, a Latios deck. I did top deck a judge and I did see he plays Skyfield himself, so that's definitely good for us, because we will be doing a ton of damage to Latios. And the big question here is, do I go for the Sycamore or do I go for the judge? Because I will only be dealing 60 damage right now, but using the Sycamore would rid me of 1 Berserker and 1 Sacred Ash. Although, if I do have the Sacred Ash, if he also runs Skyfield, I think it's better to Sycamore, because I won't have to discard too many basic Pokemon once I get everything going. And I did get a couple more basic Pokemon in order to power up my damage and be able to do at least 2-hit KO the Latios. So that's pretty not ideal. I would love to have maxed out my bench, and we don't really have a good follow-up. We have another Raichu potentially to KO the Latios, but I reckon Latios, if he has the double Dragon Energy, will be focusing his efforts into KOing the Shaman, because otherwise the price trade-off will not be too favorable for him. So it's gonna be an interesting dynamic. It will depend a lot on, can he get constant double Dragon Energies, but looks like he doesn't have it, and he might not have too many good things either. We did see Greninja get discarded, so that's the way he will try to power up Miltank's first attack. But at the moment Miltank is far from being a potential threat. He used a Super Rod, so he might put the Greninja back into the deck. There's a water, and no, I don't know. So pretty smart from my opponent. Does have an Ultra Ball, so he might actually get the Maxis or the Archies right now. Yeah, looks like he will, because he did go for the unknown. His last card, yep, it's a Berserker for the Archies. So if he gets a Water Energy, he can actually KO my Raichu with that Muscle Band he attached, because he can discard the water for Greninja's ability, put the 3 damage counters onto Raichu and get the KO that way. And I guess that's exactly what he's going to do. So very nice from my opponent. I definitely, after he attached the energy, I really didn't think he would be able to get a knockout on us, but looks like he did. And if he gets another Muscle Band, or if he has another Water Energy, he will be able to KO my other Raichu. So we're in a lot of trouble, guys, especially because I have no follow-up to my Sycamore. I have to top deck something useful. Otherwise, this game is going to get very complicated very fast. I need to get another Pikachu down, that's the thing. And I get a Lysander, not a Pikachu. Although, nope. I don't have enough damage output to KO the Greninja. Jeez. So, gonna evolve the Raichu. I'm gonna attach the Float Stone here. Now the question is, do I... that Float Stone was a mistake, I guess. What do I sacrifice? That's the question, because I could attack with Shaman and return it to my hand and then I'll have draw for next turn, or I could just outright KO Latios right now. I think that's a better option. I will deal 80 damage. Ideally, if I had filled up my bench, I would have dealt 160, and then with these 2 damage counters I would have gotten the KO. But unfortunately that's not the case. So I'm gonna place them onto the Miltank that has an energy, and I will take my Circle Circuit KO. He needs just a water energy to get a KO onto Raichu, or potentially a Muscle Band. We don't get useful prices, to be honest, and our bad draws might end up costing us the game. They really just might. Now, I will be able to damage that Miltank by a lot of damage next turn, but if he gets a constant flow of water energy, he will be able to KO whatever I put up except for Crobat. So, I think I'm going to... after he KOs the Raichu, I mean ideally he doesn't KO the Raichu obviously, but I'm pretty sure he will. Or at least he's really trying by playing all of those cards. He discards a water, so he obviously has either the Muscle Band or the other water energy in his hand. Yep, there's a Professor Letter. That means that guarantees the water energy. No idea why he would have discarded that other one. Probably the other card was way more useful. He decides to go after Shaman. So does he have the Muscle Band? Or yeah, he has the Giovanni's. Wow. Yeah, well, that's enough. Definitely. Ugh. That was probably the card he picked up over the water energy. Gets a KO on Raichu. Not ideal, but that's fine. I'm glad he wasted the energy onto the Shaman, because I do have the TCE to damage that Miltank and potentially return the DCE, and I get a level ball. Okay, so even though we're out of drawing cards, the Zubat does mean that I can attach my DCE, I can place the 3 damage counters onto Miltank, I will then retreat and promote Shaman, and then I'll be able to heal up this Shaman, deal 30 damage, and next turn I can drop the Golbat in order to get a KO onto the Miltank without attacking, and then I can use my Lysander in order to bring something up that's not a threat, like his own Shaman EX, in order to ensure we're not too threatened. But he gets a Muscle Band, so now he does have the KO onto my Crobat. Yikes. We're really suffering because I don't draw potential Pokemon to KO. To follow up on KOs. I mean, if we had more Pikachus in play, that would be the ideal. What is he going to get with the Verseeker? Potentially, yeah, another Archie, so that's going to be 2 Greninjas. But, he will only get 1 prize right now. I can cycle around the Shamans to prevent any damage, to prevent them from getting KO'd. And with my Lysander, I might be able to make it so that so that he decks out. So I feel like that's a strategy we use a lot, but it's how it is, guys. He has 4 cards. Can we withstand the onslaught for 4 more turns? And now we top deck the Sycamore. Thank you very much. Wow. So, gonna place the 2 damage counters onto Miltank. Grab my prize. Oh boy, which is another Sycamore. So I'm gonna Lysander because I don't think he has a way to retreat potentially besides attaching energy. Now I will attach the energy to my Shaman. There's nothing else I would rather attach it to right now. I do get a Bronzong, but this is pretty bad. I'm gonna retreat, put up my Shaman. Where are my other Pikachus? I'm going to Metal Links the Metal Energy onto Golbat because it looks like we're going to have to attack with Crobat sometime soon. And I'm just gonna deal 30 damage to the Shaman. If he retreats by attaching an energy, he won't be able to KO us. Now, he might get fancy and start attacking something else, but I think promoting... No, because he could get a KO with Miltank. So I think I'm gonna promote the Bronzong. That's the most expendable Pokemon right now I have. I don't want to sacrifice my Shaman. And yeah. Pretty weird game. He had the Float Stone. Ugh. He plays a Compressor. Okay. Wait, what? I thought you had to discard something with Compressor. He goes for a Judge. That still doesn't help him in preventing the deck out. He's definitely looking for energy though. I finally have a Raichu and a way to get Pikachus out, so that's good. But with 2 water energy, he can KO me. But yeah, that's what I was thinking. I mean, just looking at his deck, he can't have too many Pokemon left. So, gonna return those guys, the 1-1 line, and I'm gonna return the full Crobat line because I think Crobat is going to be crucial right now. I'm gonna first play my Shaman in order to replenish my hand, and then I'm going to look for Crobat. KOing this Shaman is definitely one of my priorities right now. And wow, my draws are just amazing, guys. Truly amazing. Ultra Ball and probably the Raichu, I guess, to get myself a Crobat. Yeah, because I'm gonna Sycamore right now. So I will get myself the Crobat. If I manage to get a Muscle Band, I will be able to KO the Shaman. Or if I get a Zubat down, I can potentially KO it as well. At this point, I don't think my opponent has a way to save the Shaman, really. And yeah. Despite my opponent being in a really good position, he's just run himself out of resources. Now, no Muscle Band. Unfortunately, I will get a Golbat with that Ultra Ball or Level Ball, and still no Pikachus, but hey, what are you gonna do? I'm just gonna deal 30 damage to the Shaman, and next turn, no matter where it is, Golbat will get the KO, which is very nice. I really doubt he runs any double colorless energy. There's no reason for him to do so. Top decks, or he's going to use a Verse Seeker for a Fisherman, so he can KO my Zubat by using 2 Water Shurikens. It's not the biggest of deals, but definitely was hoping he wouldn't do that. I don't think he'll be able to get enough damage though. He could KO Crobat instead, But yeah, I was sure he was going to go after the Zubats, and he concedes. Okay, pretty sure we were going to win that game, but due to that Fisherman, it was definitely going to be a lot closer than you would think so. And my hands are freezing, so let me click to find our next game. We got another Bronzong line. And let me go grab my gloves and turn on the heater because it's freezing in Mexico right now. Alright, I'm back. Sorry about that, but I'm seriously like, look, and I brought the heater, it's right next to me right now because I don't know, it looks like you never get snow in Mexico, but I would not, in Mexico City at least, but I would not be surprised at all if we got some sort of snow sometime soon because you guys have no idea, it's really, really freezing. Now, did the game freeze, or is my opponent just taking a long time to decide? Really hope it didn't freeze. Nope, he decides I should go first, so very interesting from my opponent. I mulligan, unfortunately. He does have a basic Pokemon, so... No sound. I mulligan once again. Not ideal, obviously, but there we go. Gonna start off with the ugly Pikachu, I guess. And since I do go first, there's no need for me to bench the other one just yet. I'm gonna see what my opponent has, and then I'll make decisions based on that. If you know you're going first, there's no risk at benching more, or rather not benching more than one Pokemon. If you're going second, there is a risk, but wow, it's Night March. So, Zubats and Golbats are a very big priority right now. I'm going to level ball, going to get that Zubat, and I'm definitely going to bench it. I really wish I didn't have to discard the Crobat right now, but I think I have to. Gonna discard the Metal Energy as well. I'm going to go for a Shaman, which ideally you would not bench against Night March, but it's not the end of the world, I guess, as long as you're able to get a KO on a Joltik afterwards. Now, the Floatstone is pretty useless. I don't need too many resources to KO my opponent's Pokemon, but if I do draw something that I'd rather sacrifice instead of the Pikachu, because a Pikachu is an attacker, a potential attacker, I definitely would have considered retreating, but I think Bronzer is more important. And I could promote Shaman, I guess, but I don't really want to. I don't want to use Sycamore yet, of course. So I'm just gonna pass here. Hopefully I don't top deck a Versiker or a double colorless energy. Although I suspect that's what PTCGO is going to give me. This should be a really, I guess, weird game. In terms of he's going to get a KO, then I will get a KO, then he will get a KO, and things like that. So whoever misses the first KO is definitely going to lose. Looks like he didn't draw a very good hand, and he's using Milotic instead of Bronzong. The good thing about my deck is exactly that I am also a non-EX attacker Pokemon, and I also get the extra damage off of Crobat. So if I manage to turn the tables, because since he did go second, he can potentially KO me first. So through Crobat damage and through non-EX attackers, I might I might be able to get back into the game if he manages a KO here, but he doesn't even attack, so that's very unfortunate for him. I will be able to take my first KO, so that really puts things into my favor, I think. Now the question here is, with my Golbat, who do I place the damage counters onto? Joltik or Feebas? I reckon Feebas, because Feebas is a late game option for him. There's no real reason for him to evolve into Milotic right now, and if he does, he misses out on the option of using it later on for a crucial double colorless energy or something like that. Now unfortunately we don't get too much going after this, and we get, well, the stadium war is not too important in terms of we need our stadium in order to get KOs, but it is ideal to get to force my opponent to have extra cards when he wants to take prizes with Pumpkaboo instead of Joltik. Now he only has one Night Marcher in the discard pile, which, the way that deck is built, usually it's very unfortunate for him. It really is. Those decks usually explode and you're able to one-hit KO a Pokemon EX on first turn, but this time my opponent wasn't able to KO a lone Pikachu, so that has happened to me in real life as well. Like, I've won games. Okay, I'm gonna get rid of the Shaman right now. I've won games where on turn 1 I had to draw pass with a Shaman EX active against a Night March deck, and my opponent didn't get the KO, and afterwards I was able to bring it back and win the game, but that was a very scary turn 1 for me during one of the city championships. Now looks like my opponent is going to get something going. I'm glad he countered my stadium, because that allowed me to remove the Shaman, which I will be able to get back with the Sacred Ash, and I will be able to play another Skyfield right now myself in order to counter his stadium, so at least I counter one of his stadiums. No idea how many he uses, at least 2, potentially 3, maybe 4, but probably not 4. He does go after the Milotic, so he definitely feared the Golbat Supercross, potentially, because if I attached a Muscle Band, I could have taken 2 KOs next turn, but he might pass here because he's not doing anything else. Or no, never mind, he's checking what to get. So it's very nice to see a Milotic get back a Sycamore and not a double colorless energy, because at this moment in time he only has 4 double colorless energies. So if I have a response for all his attackers, I should be in a pretty good position. Now he does decide to play the Hex Maniac, but he's 10 damage short of the KO onto Raichu. And yeah, that's the game, because I was going to take another prize here, and through Bronzong and through Crobat, I was going to be able to get KOs on absolutely everything on my opponent's deck. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope I'll see you tomorrow in Spanish or on Wednesday in English. And please remember, the like goal for this week is 40 likes. It only takes a second. If you scroll down, click the like and come back up. It really helps out the channel, get more visibility, helps me grow, and it allows me to keep bringing you all the content that you seem to enjoy. So thank you guys very much. Thank you guys for the support last week as well with the increase in likes. I did definitely notice it, and I hope you guys can continue doing that throughout this week. That's all from me today, so I'll see you next time. Bye bye.